Alright, so let me try this again. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Welcome back to another show. Welcome back to another episode. Good morning to all of my viewers, listeners, and Soul Tribe family. The name of this program is called It's a Conspiracy, but It Ain't No Theory. This is episode number 45. And on today's episode, I'm going to be discussing gang stalking, plus surviving the New World disorder per usual, surviving manufactured chaos, surviving manufactured karma, and surviving this manufactured gang stalking hypersimulation. My name is Adrienne Alese. I am the author and creator of a book trilogy called Lucy's Lair, Part 1, 2, and 3. Lucy's Lair is a book trilogy reflecting my life as a survivor of rape culture, child sex trafficking, and psychological gas chambers. We have a lot of work to do before we can call ourselves successful or heroes or anything along those lines. On this program, I advocate for women's rights, basic human rights, and the rights of those disabled. I also advocate on behalf of the foster children in the CPS system, orphans, single mothers, foster mothers, and those less fortunate. This program is a dedication to the targeted individual community. I'm going to be focusing today primarily on gang stalking and the gang stalking hypersimulation, but more specifically what it's like when you are medically dependent upon the Western medical system, like myself, being as I have epilepsy and I'm a diagnosed epileptic. I noticed this week that the hackers that work for FBI, I call them remote gang stalkers. I noticed this week that they aren't using Elon Musk to manipulate me. Excuse me. And I'm just like, I finally won a victory. But what they are doing, though, is after years of seeing nothing but photos of, Trump by himself, now all of a sudden when I said happy late birthday, now all of a sudden I see nothing but photos with Trump and his wife, of course. So it's whatever. It's so weird, but I don't really care. I'm just saying what I'm noticing in my algorithms so that way I can have this reported, so I can get my report done and so I can keep my timeline updated. And so we're actually getting ready to go on, I would say, a little road trip to visit some family, which is really great. This is what I kind of need. This is what my son also needs right now. The gang stalkers or I should say this gang stalking hypersimulation is subverting all of my potentials, and it's basically making my life so unstable to the point where it's really hard for me to get to the doctor. But this is all manufactured. It's nothing that I'm doing on my end, and I'll get there. I'll let you know how and why. So the last time I called my doctor to make an appointment, my neurologist in Burien, and her name is also Joy, Dr. Joy, and so this has been my neurologist for about 8 years now. And it's only after COVID now, all of a sudden, you see, that's what I'm saying. This is all due to the gang stalking, manufactured hypersimulation, or malicious harassment is what it's actually formally called. Like if you go to file for court to sue these harassers or this government militia hate group or this group of terrorists, if you go to actually file in court, which I do plan on doing once I return from my vacation, what you want to file this under would be malicious harassment. So, and that's not to say that they're going to stop, but at least we have a record, right? So, and I've never dealt with anything like this in at this severe degree. Like, I've never dealt with anything this serious before. So this is definitely the first time for me, for sure. And it is just really interesting because it doesn't matter where I go or what facility I'm in, they will show up. They always do. I could literally be in jail and they'll show up there just to perform street theater. So to get back to my point, the medical industry, this doctor I've been seeing for my epileptic diagnosis, I was seeing for about 8 years, and recently, I called her to make an appointment. Their whole entire security alarm system to their whole entire office went off when I called, so I wasn't actually able to make the appointment. And then I called back to make the appointment, and then my phone bill was late, so I didn't have any phone service to make my Zoom appointment. This is all manufactured. So bear in mind, before COVID-19 started, I was making a year's worth of salary and 3 months cash, and that was off the books, okay? I wasn't on welfare. I didn't need the system for nothing other than maybe one thing, and that's, or two things, excuse me, to send my son to school and to get a prescription from my doctor for my epilepsy. So with this dehumanization process and the suicide squad or the synthetic suicide priming, this has all been manufactured, and it's a depopulation agenda, absolutely. And I mean, how crazy do you have to be, and how out of touch do you have to be to identify human beings as being a virus? That's pretty crazy. I'm not a virus. So in anyways, that's a topic for a whole nother show. I'm going to save that for later. So right now, as it stands, I'm epileptic and I haven't had my medication due to these little games that they play with me. Okay, so there was 3 incidences with my doctor. Let me explain that before I go any further. So the first incident with my doctor, the whole entire security alarm went off. The second, when I called back to reschedule, and I did get through that second time, the phone service was disconnected because my phone bill wasn't paid on time. Okay, this is how unstable my life has been. And it's all manufactured, okay? And by the way, this is the security alarm going off, hackers. That's an interception from the police. The phone bill being shut off, also probably the hackers. That one could have been my bad, but I'm saying I was financially dependent before. I'm not anymore. So that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, their fault. So, and then when I called back after missing that appointment, on the answering machine, their answering machine at the doctor's office, at Dr. Joy's office in Burien over there, said that they wouldn't be back until after October 26th. So they gave me a refill that lasted until right now, and so I've been empty for about a week, and I've had an emergency refill, but it was just like 3 pills or 3 days or something like that. It wasn't a full refill. So let me continue. So then when I called back, like I said, they had a recording on their answering machine on their voicemail that said they wouldn't be back until after October. So I stopped calling. My refill ran out. I called back. They apologized. They told me that was a mistake on that recording. And then they said that they would refill me a prescription, but that they couldn't see me anymore because I missed too many appointments, which is totally understandable. I mean, I get it. I'm super, 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 like, fast-paced. I can't tell you what's going to happen from one day to the next because of all of this malicious harassment. And so I don't know where I'm going to be at from one day to the next. I literally don't know. This hyper simulation is taking place, is happening in such a way to where people are dying. Somebody can be here today and not here and gone tomorrow. Like, this is the way it's happening. This is the way it's been manufactured and designed from the jump. So, but anyways, I've been calling them out on their corruption ever since. I have a whole entire show now, and I'm actually really proud of myself. So I know that this little stress that I'm going through is nothing. Ultimately, in the greater, and honestly, I'm stressed out now. Don't get me wrong, but I know that when the dust settles from all of this, I'm going to be singing a different song, because this is ultimately going to open up so many doors in the future. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but once I survive this, and once I get on with my life, and I can push past all of this, this isn't going to be an issue in my life for very much longer. I feel like once I can get the help that I need, doors are going to start to open very, very, very soon here. And I mean within the next week or two. And I also, too, know that this is why they are so mad. When they're mad because I'm like reaching out to family and I'm getting the help that I need, that's when they up the ante, too. Like right now, they're trying to stress me out with this pill thing or this medication thing, or just whatever. If it wasn't this tomorrow or the next day or the next week, it'll be something else. It's always something, though, with them. So, because they're trying to keep me isolated, and they're trying to manipulate me so much into the point where I either commit suicide or die, they don't want me reaching out and getting help at all. That's counterintuitive to their plans, to their goals. So whatever. I'll eventually work it out to where I get my pills, and I'll be fine. This has happened before. But my point is, it's nothing like I don't make the security alarm go off. Somebody else is making these things happen, and it's not these things are happening, but it's not anything that I'm doing. Okay, so and of course, now I have a show. Before I had a book, I was getting treated really horribly, and after I wrote 3 books, and I started being treated a little bit better. Before I had a show, I was still getting treated pretty poorly, pretty shitty. Now I have a show, I anticipate being treated a lot better, because I'm going to expose this every step of the way. So that was just more or less me trying to describe or to explain how they use like a medical diagnosis to more or less control somebody, and to trauma-based mind control them, precisely. So, but that's just another example of how they're trying to control me by using my medical diagnosis, my the greater one of the two. So anyways, so yeah, okay, so just to update on where I'm at in my personal life. So they've been successful at facilitating impoverishment, and they're doing this by harassing me everywhere I go. The last time I literally just we just sat down and rented a property. We got out of this hotel life. We were off the streets for 2 weeks. They impounded my vehicles. My vehicles were not even parked illegally, by the way. And they were impounded the day before I was about to file for this malicious harassment, which set us back financially. And I mean, ultimately, all of these little attacks, they do set us back financially. So, and that's the goal. And so, because like I've always said in the past, you can't file for malicious harassment with food stamps. Even if you could, you probably don't get enough food stamps to do that in the first place, right? So, it's about $300 to file for this. And that's without an attorney. And if you get an attorney, it's going to be way more than that. And, who knows, what that's going to look like. I've never heard of anything like this before. As far as it stands, what I'm dealing with is a form of human trafficking. And so if anybody tries to make it appear to be anything other than that, that's a part of the psyop, because this is trafficking. And, if I can't settle down in a place, have my vehicles, that's too much. That's too much stability. They got to impound the vehicles. The vehicles were not even parked illegally or anything, So this is all premeditated ahead of time. This is all organized way, way, way ahead of time. And they're not testing for anything. Like, I've heard a lot of rumors. This is all just one big experiment to see who's a pedophile. Well, they don't need to do that, because they can literally check your servers, your computers. They can check, and it wouldn't matter. They don't care, So, and not only that, but they have the psyche profiling. So they have AI net for psyche profiling. So they know who's entertaining. thoughts of child molestation or rape, or, who's entertaining these ideas that are not manufactured. It's one thing when you take a video or you're taking photos. Like, I used to take photos all the time. I was a model, and every time I would do that and go outside in a bikini, go to the beach in a bikini, go to the lake in a bikini, go step outside looking really nice in a nice cute fit, here they would come with a kid, and they would try to make it appear to be like their kid was attending some sort of a drag show, because they love to call me a transgender because I have a huge cock. It's like some sort of ongoing inside joke. So, but whatever. I'm actually a woman. So, but whatever. I have 3 kids, and transgenders will never have 3 children. So, but it's just really comical. And another one of the things I wanted to mention with the mind control psyops, or the psychological warfare, is it starts off with the culture war. It starts off with the race war, and then it they can't keep pushing the same shit, right? So then it switches from that to, now it's a gender war, now it's sex identity issue, and now it's all this transgenderism and stuff like that. So that's first it's the race, they're attacking your race. This is all a process of dehumanization. The race, and then the sex, of course, and then the kids and everything else. It just continues to trickle all the way on down. And so, so anyways, we're tired of it. This psyop should officially be over in May 2025 is what I've also heard. So we'll see how long it continues. But yeah, I got to get to court. I got to get some stability in my life. I got to get some medication, since I am very, very ill. I've been ill since I was 13 years old. So, but when I went into the welfare office, I wanted to say I went to the housing authority, because this is a requirement. Because apparently living in a hotel is considered being homeless. And so I was required to go and secure housing. And so I went to the housing authority, and the housing authority told me that they were basically not going to be able to help me. And so, because I wasn't unable to secure housing immediately, like immediate housing, I went back to the welfare office. The welfare office told me that I basically had a week to find a place, to like another week to secure this housing. And I'm supposed to do applications for housing, but I don't have any application money because I'm unemployed. I'm on welfare now. So again, you cannot apply for an application to an apartment or to a house with food stamps. So right off the top, that's really irritating. It's just another form of harassment. And they fully intend to continue harassing. It's not going to stop. The welfare isn't there to help. It's there to make sure you're wasting your time, so that they can take as much information on you as possible, and to continue to harassing you. Essentially, that's all it is. So it's this promise of, you keep coming back and giving me this information, and I'll try to see if I can help you. But they never follow through, So I wasn't able to secure any housing, although I did apply for like all of the benefits. And of course, there's like a waiting list. So I won't be able to get into housing or secure immediate housing. And so I have another appointment with the welfare that's coming up Monday, and I'm supposed to show proof that I've been looking for housing. And apparently living in a shelter is not homeless, is not considered homeless. Living in a homeless shelter is not considered being homeless, but living in a motel is considered being homeless. So just really interesting stuff. And then also too, at the housing authority, it just makes no sense. And I asked them this question. I said, why would you guys be asking somebody who's homeless for 5 years of permanent residency, and then to be able to prove that in order to do an application? If somebody's homeless, they probably don't have a permanent residence, right? Like, this just doesn't make any sense. So I think it's just another way for them to try to obtain information without giving anything in return. It's a promise of giving something while getting something, but you give your information for them to use it, pass it along, do whatever they do, obtain it, and then you don't get any help in return. You're literally just spinning your wheels, wasting your time. Like, seriously. So it's really interesting, because I asked the lady, at the housing authority, and her name is Marissa, I believe. I said, I'm just really confused because I don't know how you would expect somebody who's homeless to be able to provide 5 years of, residence. And I ultimately did. I was able to provide that for them, and I was able to do my application. But when I said that, she was like, I feel like you're being hostile. And I was like, I'm sorry you feel that way. I apologized the first time. And then she just made this really ugly face like she wasn't going to help me. And so that's what I'm saying. So they agitate the target so much, and then they get an emotional reaction that's totally reasonable. Like, I just don't understand how you guys would be asking to prove all of this. If the person is homeless, it doesn't seem likely that they're going to be able to provide proof of a residence other than, like I said, the hotel that I've been living in. So, and she's like, oh, I just feel like you're being really hostile, and I'm just asking a question. Like, this seems kind of ridiculous. And so I told her, I was like, I'm sorry you feel that way, Marissa. And so somebody else from the back, I don't, her name started with a V. I don't want to say, start dropping any bombs here, um, but came around and she helped me. She was very kind. So, but yeah, so I eventually got my applications done for this, but ultimately I didn't have the help that I needed. So it's just really, really, it's like beating a dead horse. You really get nowhere with these things. I mean, I have a doctor, I have Medi-Cal, I should be able to get my medication, but because they intercept my appointment planning and everything else, it's ridiculous. So I'm still working on this, and hopefully I can resolve some of these issues. Some of this is really just basic modern living, basic modern life, and the stresses that come with it. But a lot of this, and a greater half, I would say even as much as 75% of it or more, is being perpetuated by this evil hate crime group. So I will do my best to continue to cover this and to go over this and to keep everybody updated on how they're able to successfully facilitate impoverishment and the methods that they use, and then to just continue to keep that fresh in everybody's mind, because some of these people are not actually homeless. Okay, it's been manufactured, and some of these people don't need the welfare office for anything, and they're not really struggling as much as this hyper simulation or these gang stalkers and these terrorists try to make it seem. I'm not really down and out like that. And that's how I know this isn't a lifestyle for me. And it is just interesting because it's their lifestyle. It's literally their job to ruin people like me and to ruin our lives. And so it's their lifestyle to be this way. It's not my lifestyle to be this way. These people are ridiculous.